And so we've got Lewis presenting. I'll say what you're presenting.
You want to know what we got?
No, right. you're the man.
Alright, sweet. So I'm pretty much presenting how to do a technical thesis without doing any technical work. And so we use the actual title, AI-based engagement support, exploring user motivations and barriers. It comes from the HCI realm, if you guys remember that Deco 2500 course that may have done. So yeah, the major question is, how are AI chatbots helping people combat addiction? See, when I first saw this thesis, I thought no one actually did it, and that was actually an issue when we first started looking for data. But I'll just go a quick overview. The alcohol use disorder, just a condition. 400 million people suffer from it. 18 million in the US meet the criteria, and 10% receive formal treatment. I'll just rush through it. Why not? So there's some social factors of addiction, and some of them are like peer norms and cultural attitudes and social networks. And how to recover from alcohol use disorder is usually related to motivations in community, which is recovery and social identity shift, which is moving from drinking culture to certain communities that promote abstinence and accountability. Now, not everyone can do that. Not everyone has those communities, so what do? You beat up your friend, you go on the reddit.com and you start talking to people there. Now, this may or may not have positive effects, but just if you don't know what Reddit is, there's 1.1 billion monthly users. You can use an alias, and it's free. To be for real, as an academic data platform, Reddit's actually quite amazing. It's accessible and free, there's no cost to recruit, and you get high quality responses because people aren't just phoning it in just to get $20, those research interviews. And then like I said, people are intrinsically motivated, which makes it actually quite good for data. But let me go to my knowledge gap. So it's a limited perception of understanding of how people might actually use AI besides cheating your coding assignment. So we've got how do people get around it, and then there's a few studies that use platforms like Reddit. Don't worry about it. You should be right. Scroll down. I did not do that. She'll be right. Is what we're gonna say. You're just going down the slides now.
Oh no. I think I'll do it.
She'll be right.
We have an extra one.
A little bit more. Okay, perfect. We got ChatGPT's ability to respond to crisis and emotional need.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Lit! Alright, we're back.
I shouldn't touch it.
Sweet. So we got our method, which is how we actually do all the work without having to do any of the work, which is our friend gummusearch.com. I know it's a bit of a name. And so what you do is you fire in a bunch of communities that you want, it's Reddit communities, and then you put in the keyword, and it collects them. So we see here we got stop drinking, AI non, and more stop drinking. And it's actually pretty sick. And so then I just go on that, I check the post, see if it's relevant, and then I scrape all the comments, and then I run a human analysis to make sure all the comments are relevant. Alright, here's the data. So we've got 4 sub-themes, I guess. We've got art, we've got the 12 steps, which is a US sort of recovery program. And we've got questions in math, and we've got support. So in art, we have some sub-themes around people using AI to make poetry, music, and stories, and we have personas. We get a certain type of personality you want the AI to respond with, which has made people seem more comfortable talking to the AI. Hunger the 12 Steps is actually one of our more interesting pieces of data because there are more negative comments than positive comments. That's what happens when I think you sort of break tradition, people get a bit upset. So that's one of the more interesting pieces of our data. Questions in math, related to people asking how do I translate my drinking volume from one alcohol to another, and I'll show a couple examples in a second, and support. Decided to shorten this down a bit, because it is, so we got examples of art. This is someone who used AI to create a sort of store like music, and then posted it up. It's pretty cool, pretty chill. Yeah, it's got some interesting words. Then we got emotional support. This was one of the first posts I actually found when using the search. I thought it was cool. Guy said he stopped quitting alcohol about 4.5 weeks ago and started running 3 times a week. And he was saying that he felt like the running was helping him sort of deal with his alcohol. And I responded with absolutely, running is one of the best tools for sobriety. And yeah, it's pretty cool. This one was like, the longer you stick with it, the more your brain will need on running instead of alcohol to feel good. And that actually kind of spoke to me, even though I'm not an alcoholic, I like to run. Real quick questions in math. I thought this one was kind of cool. This guy saying like alcohol was a new drug, would it be approved by the FDA? And ChatGPT pretty much, in long story short, says no. Saying the only benefit is the cultural and influence that already exists, which would exist if it did. And then we had like reactions, and so I forgot to add my reactions part, but I got a couple ones here. Oh my god. Yeah, so we got like this one saying like from the ChatGPT help me get sober post saying that like it helped them bring a smile back to their face. So just saying like that's one of an example of positive comment. And then we got another one down here saying that AI can't help someone because it's not an alcoholic. It's never been through it. So how can it know? Now, do they know? They be an alcoholic. But pretty much, that's what it's saying. And that's one of the biggest in the community arguments that you can't use ChatGPT to help. And then there are people who use it for medical advice, and it is shocking and kind of scary that people do. And that's kind of it. So that's my thesis, but I thought I'd do a little chat about why do theses exist, and sort of helping someone decide what makes a good thesis for them. Because for me, I looked at trying to do more technical theses and realized that probably not a good idea. So yeah, there supervised open research programs to find something new or like research something new, and which has an underlying understanding that you're doing something that has not been done before. And so supervisors then are expecting someone who's familiar and hopefully proficient in the thing that they will be undertaking. In my opinion, a thesis is not the time to be trying something new and overextending. It is a great opportunity to build upon existing sort of software that you are familiar with. So I've got the tips who are looking to start a thesis soon. The biggest one is don't overextend your capabilities. There are times where failure is okay, and your thesis is not one of them, because if you fail it, you gotta do it again, and that's a whole year. Who really wants to do that? And there are safeguards in your thesis, such as drafts when you're writing it, but if you have no deliverables, then you have nothing to write about. So my biggest piece of advice is to write down what your strengths, familiarities, and proficiencies. When I first started, I wanted to do a project with blockchains and ML, and I had an interview, and I absolutely bombed it. I was kind of beg and double down, saying give me another week, I'll be able to prove it, and I spent a couple hours realizing that the extra stress of the deadline and uncertainty would not have been worth it. If thesis opportunity is a good resume project to get under your belt, if you are someone who already works in sort of a technical area like I do, I work in .NET programming, I found that it's more beneficial to spend 16 hours to 22 hours a week working your job rather than doing your thesis and trying to do something a bit more simple. And yeah, remember that everyone who passes a thesis gets to graduate. Now, everyone graduates to different opportunities, and maybe your thesis may open one up. But take on a challenge that you can do is my biggest piece of advice. And if you are someone like me who was worried about their skill set, here's what to look for. HCI is a very easy way to go. It's simple. And then, like I said, what meets your familiarities and proficiencies. And there's a couple questions to ask your thesis supervisor, because before you start, you have a bit of an interview with them. Ask what possible assistance they could provide in giving us proficiency. That's a big one. And if you feel like you may not be able to meet their expectations, well then keep that in mind. Another one is you have to submit a resume usually, so ask if there's any resume gaps in doing that certain project they may find. And one last thing is intrinsic motivation is extremely important because you're going to be doing this for a year straight, and then you do your semester of uni, you get to holiday break. A part of you is not going to want to keep doing uni, and so I really recommend finding something that actually you're passionate about doing. And I've actually been quite passionate about understanding different AI use cases, so this was a great thesis for me. And I think that is me finished. So yeah, thanks so much. Any questions? Oh, there is. Sweet.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how you're able to talk on a more psychological topic in a more technical space. But do you think that your supervisor or whoever's marking you will be more biased against it if you're not including, I don't know, crazy technical stuff as well?
My thesis supervisor is like the one who pushed me to go this route, so it's fine. Like, that's why we learned like human-computer interaction is really about like the computer interaction between like users, and that's like why it's really easy, is because you're not really trying to develop something. If you can open yourself up to doing more things, like originally I said I was going to like work on building an ML or like a wrapper that uses the data that I pulled in a way to give better support. Then I realized that I have no time to actually get that done, so I'm going to just get my thesis written and submitted.
Yeah.
And it's all about like your grades. Your thesis is graded by your supervisor, which has like a criteria in mind. So just try and like sort of meet that, I guess, is my best recommendation.
Yeah.
Cool, sweet. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.